I'll say this. I'm a free enterprise, person, but it does bother me that the
Yeah,
first family is enriching themselves like every other politician in the world, most other politicians in the world, with a foray into business, taking advantage of connections. This bothers me. I don't like
me
this
too.
from Democrats, Republicans. I don't like it from politicians in the Middle East, Israel, Saudi Arabia, from South Africa, France, England. It just bothers me.
Well, it's a
This
conflict.
is
It's
all
a
about
conflict of
politicians
interest.
becoming
Yeah,
kings, basically.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's a total conflict of interest. To
yeah,
have,
I
and
agree with
so
that.
so if Trump says no, the Paramount, let the Paramount deal go through, and he says that publicly, then then it's basically he knows that there's going to be millions and millions of dollars coming into his family
And
because
you
of his
also
decision
say,
making. That's
okay,
completely
to,
unethical.
yeah, I actually agree with that 100%. Now, if Netflix or Paramount makes this deal, they get the library of Warner, okay? You're saying that Netflix doesn't want the cable stations. They don't want the Turner stations and things like that.
That's what they're saying.
So
Yeah.
how do you visualize Netflix will use the library from Paramount,
As more
not
content that
Paramount,
they don't
Warner?
of Warner Brothers. So right now, and by the way, I think I said earlier they don't want HBO. That's not true. They do want HBO. What they don't want is like CNN and TBS and these others,
Mhm.
because those are basically their competition. They're not going to be putting CNN content on Netflix. They don't need it, so they don't need to pay for that. So the way they win is they get tons more content that they don't have to license. So it's true you already see a lot of Warner Brothers product on, you know, Netflix, but they don't have to pay themselves for it, or if they do a very minor licensing fee just for bookkeeping purposes. So that's their primary focus. Now that's not the only reason though. For Netflix, they don't have a physical studio. Um, Amazon Prime, they make content as well, but they have a physical studio because they did buy what's left of MGM after so many people have raided the hen house for that studio. So they do have production facilities. Netflix has been building production facilities, most notably in New Jersey and elsewhere, but they don't. There's a lot of stuff they don't have that this could help them with. It helps them with
See,
having a better distribution platform if they want to go theatrical, which traditionally they don't. But this could help them with award ceremonies and stuff like that, which is helpful. So there's a bunch of stuff that they get that they don't have. Now for
HBO,
Paramount,
the executives
yeah,
at HBO can't be happy at all that Netflix had
no,
could possibly take them over.
yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of shows that would probably go off the air too. That would be convenient for Trump, for instance. I'm sure there's a few HBO shows that are critical of the Trump administration too. So,
Well,
they're all trying to sort of
but
cozy up to him right now.
yeah, but Netflix has a lot of, shall we say, politically correct type of venues too. It's not exactly a conservative venue. And I've heard actually that's part of the reason why Trump would also like to see Paramount actually win this thing to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know.
Well, Trump has been friends with Larry Ellison, David Ellison's father, for many, many years. So, I'm sure there's been conversations about that. He
Hmm.
allowed and encouraged the Paramount sale to go forward to the Ellison family. So it'll
Okay.
be interesting for Paramount. What they're getting is not only the library that helps bolster their Paramount Plus streaming service, which needs bolstering. That streamer isn't doing very well. Um, but they also get, they would be able to fire a whole ton of Warner Brothers employees that they don't need duplicates of because they already have a studio, Paramount.
Okay, so now
Um,
I brought
so,
up the fact. Go ahead, finish your
oh, I was
thought.
just going
Sorry.
to say they get a bunch of stuff and they can streamline a lot of their personnel. Go ahead.
Okay, so streaming. Here, this is a big part of the whole business picture too. And this is why I brought it up a month ago because I asked you 1 month ago if maybe Netflix, because they're actually going to be getting involved in podcast and their business
Mm-hmm.
vision I would think for Netflix is to start breaking up some of their content into different units, maybe in which they could offer different packages to subscribers and say, look, do you want to take this particular part of our package, which has classic movies on it? Do you want to take this particular part of our package, which is social media based, which Netflix is not strong in yet? Maybe I'm wrong, but I see them trying to go into podcasts. So I imagine that they might have an interest in going into social media because podcasting is part of the social media landscape too. That's why I brought it up last month. And you said, no, it isn't really about the social media stuff. You said, but here's the thing. I brought up a few moments ago, Disney about a month ago, which basically just invested $1 billion in OpenAI for artificial intelligence purposes. Disney went in and they made a deal with YouTube, but that also involved, like, because of ESPN rights and things like that for videos, from what I understand. But does that all tie together too with the whole streaming services and stuff with YouTube and
Well,
battles with YouTube?
it's a couple separate things. So first of all, for the in terms of Netflix wanting Warner Brothers because it could additionally help them with things like podcasting and stuff, and social media. I don't think and that's what I was saying last time. I don't think that would be a factor, only because Warner Brothers doesn't really have a presence in podcasting or social media. They have Warner
Netflix,
Music. They have a big
right?
music
But
division,
mm,
but Netflix can create its own thing. I mean, if Netflix really wanted to get big in podcasting, they would buy SiriusXM or Spotify or one of the big ones, since they have the money. Uh, Otherwise, they could just launch a service themselves, which others, are
and what we
doing.
need to remember here, for some people that might not know, Google actually owns YouTube.
Yes. Yeah.
And YouTube is basically the biggest, I don't want to say media company at this point, but they have
They
more
essentially
eyes
are.
on them than
Yeah.
anybody else.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's the
It's
largest
amazing.
platform of any kind now, which is just like
No
nobody
one
really thinks
thinks of
about
it.
it that way. Right.
Yeah, no one thinks about Google as being involved in this, but Google is a giant in this too.
Yeah. Now on the Disney stuff, that you brought up. So yeah, Disney just yesterday or the day before announced that they're siding with OpenAI for their Sora platform, which does a great job now of doing AI video. So what Disney's doing is kind of smart on their behalf. They gave them $1 billion so that they can be a partner. So if you want to use Disney IP, if you want to use Snow White and R2D2 and have them dance around the living room or something like that, then you have to go through. You can do it legally now, but you have to go through the platform that Disney is siding with OpenAI on, the Sora platform. And I'm sure I was just in a meeting yesterday. We talked about this. I'm sure that there's going to be tons of legal wording on this thing for when you if you want to join the platform. Because here's the problem: if somebody, let's say somebody in, I don't know, Nebraska, or wherever, who doesn't know anything about the entertainment industry, filmmaking, but really wants to create some fan based stories with some of the Disney characters, and they can't do it legally anywhere else. Um, and they come on the platform, they join up, and they just have a field day with Winnie the Pooh and Tigger too, and whatever, right? Let's say they come up with an interesting story that they do digitally on this AI platform. The thing is, I guarantee you the wording is going to be that Disney would own anything created there. Because if Disney looks at it and says, oh, now that's a good idea, we hadn't thought of that one before, we should make a sequel and use that idea. So they would go ahead and develop it. Well, the person that came up with that, technically, there's a copyright issue here. Technically, that person, no matter what they signed on the Disney platform, technically, if they created something with Disney characters, they automatically uh, own that IP or partially own that IP or have there's a in other words there's a little bit of a legal gray area here that I'm sure at some point is going to get explored down the line with lawsuits going around.